John doesn't subscribe.
Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to finally another video. After 2 weeks of absence, we're building in Jurassic World, Arizona 2045. This is episode 5, where we're building the staff section of our park / high security section, whatever you want to call it. The first thing I'm doing here is using the gate glitch to place them on top of the paths, so that we can have an entrance that the guests won't just walk through. And that way it can be more isolated. So, this park doesn't have like proper guest facilities because it's very hard to do anything realistic in this game due to its limitations, unfortunately. But I did want some semblance of their staff here because it's not like on this map we can't just pretend it's somewhere else. So this build took way longer than I wanted it to, and I didn't really enjoy doing it that much because I just don't enjoy building staff sections and I'm not very good at it. So, also, another reason I didn't like it is because I had to build for my least favorite species in the game. So if you've been following this series, you guys know that every episode these species is decided based between a few different ones in a poll. And I wanted to build for a hybrid in this park because, due to the lore of this park, it actually kind of makes sense to have a hybrid here, as opposed to in most of my parks. There's really no reason to have them. So this is my opportunity to build for one, and I decided that since so many people don't like hybrids, I would put one non-hybrid creature in the poll, but I would just put Deinonychus because it's so ugly, no one would possibly choose it over, especially the good hybrids. No way that's gonna get picked. It's definitely considered one of the worst species in the game, and it's my personal least favorite. It swept the poll, it won by it wasn't even close. So now I have to build for these guys, which I don't think I've ever built for in Sandbox. I've probably only released in this game a couple times. So what you can see here is in the staff section we have this little high security enclosure with smaller staging areas for moving dinosaurs around. This is where all the dinosaurs be hatched and kept when they're young. And I like to imagine they accidentally created these terrible monstrosities and they just don't really know what to do with them, so they're being kept here. And we're also going to have our power facilities here. This was one of my few chances to actually use the Jurassic World power stations because, they are kind of just these blue boxes that have electricity in them for some reason, as opposed to the other power stations actually do something like the Jurassic Park are geothermal, etc. But these actually kind of work here because they look so modern and they're very basic, and it works really well with this park that's supposed to be semi-futuristic. So I could try to keep up that theme and the architecture using a lot of Biosyn buildings and Jurassic World buildings. I really wanted a paleomedical facility here because I really like the Jurassic World one because it has this little surrounding fence, but there wasn't any room, which is just one issue with staff sections. I always run out of room. The buildings are so weirdly shaped, and the path is quite limited, has a large hitbox. It's very hard to properly build them the way I'd like to, especially when you try to really think about how they should work and connect to the rest of the park. You just can't really do it particularly well. So I got done the main buildings, and there was still way more open space than I would like. So I didn't want to fill all this with path because, that would look bad. So I started creating these cutouts in the path that are going to be here because I want this section to be kind of nice. It's not going to be entirely utilitarian. There's going to be trees and such that have been grown here. This is actually a place where people work. It's not just a staging ground. So, yeah, just making these path cutouts because even with these, though, it's still way more unbroken path than I like, and I think this is definitely the worst build in the series so far, and hopefully it will remain the worst build in the series. Just because, not good at staff sections, and I really don't like the look of all this path. Even when it's covered up with decorations, it really just stands out in the park from above. But that's okay. Now it's done. I don't have to build for the Deinonychus again. So I'm just placing some trees around the outside of this fence to fill in the gap, but also, it just looks a little nicer that way, I think. And yeah, now I can start working with the path. You see that connects through the emergency shelter that we built in episode 3. That went from that guest path, so if there was an emergency, the guest could get here, or that could just be a secondary entrance for staff members. You can walk through that building and out the back, and then you're here. And this also connects to the Tyrannosaurus habitat, so they can maintain it. with the way this park is laid out, unfortunately, I can't really realistically make a way for the staff to manage all of the habitats. But, you know, when I have the opportunity to, gotta take advantage of that to make it a lot more realistic, because, you know, in a real dinosaur park, you have to be able to constantly access the dinosaurs and not just to feed them and such. But, yeah. I really don't like doing this work with Path, where I have to be just, like, really patient with filling in these gaps that the Path does not want to snap to, and it ends up not looking good in the end anyways. But, thankfully I don't have to do that too much, because most of the footprint of this park is just rocks instead of Path. So, yeah, sorry there's been such a delay on this episode. I've just been quite busy and I didn't have time to release any videos. And there will be a video next week. I'm doing a, well, check out the community tab to see what it is. The video for next week will presumably be that. But then we'll be back with this series. Looking at the layout of the park, I think we're probably going to have more episodes than I initially expected. Probably 10, just because there's so much area still left to fill. Later in this episode, I'll talk about where I started to run into some performance issues during this video, which is slightly worrying because the park's only halfway done. But you know, that's just always how park building goes. It's not a properly optimized game. Hopefully, Evolution 3 will be better on that point. But speaking of Evolution 3 and just upcoming projects, may as well take this time to talk about Rebirth a little bit, because there's been some news. And, you know, we're getting the Empire magazine in like a week, so I might, depending on what's contained there, I might make a video on that, but I'll probably wait till we get the teaser trailer, which I'm predicting a Thanksgiving Day teaser trailer, just like we got for Jurassic World, which will have been exactly 10 years prior, and then our full trailer on the Super Bowl. I think, based on how little time they've had to do VFX work, the teaser trailer we'll be getting will probably be really short, probably only 1 or 2 shots containing a dinosaur. But hopefully will give us a cool idea of the environment, and we'll finally get to see some clips of the movie, which is exciting. Even though it's still July that it comes out, which is weird, instead of June. I guess The Lost World also came out in... No, The Lost World came out in late May, didn't it? But yeah, anyways, here I'm just upgrading the buildings because it makes a lot of them look nicer, especially the power stations with these tall structures on the top. And just generally helps the area feel more filled out, because that's one complaint I have with building staff sections is the buildings in this game oftentimes feel like 3D models that you just place down, which is helpful because they're so adaptable, unlike in Jurassic Evolution 1 where these buildings are very limited and have huge hitboxes and such. But also, it makes it not feel busy enough, I guess is the word, which adding those extra stuff to the building but upgrading it really helps with that. So here's just like a little security checkpoint. Not going into too much detail here, pretty much anyone with a key card could get in, and it's not like this is top secret or anything, it's right in the middle of the park, and very near a guest path. So, yeah, there's not really too much to say on the decoration. There was a lot of decoration. I think there were like 700 concrete barriers in this build, which you will see in just a minute. Placed a lot of those, which, you know, kind of had to because it's a staff section. And what would a staff section do without concrete barriers? And here I'm just filling this in with the smallest potted plant, which I actually don't think looks that good, especially in the desert, but where they don't have too much footprint, but that's okay. Here I'm turning this into a little generator farm by using the repeater substations, which I think looks okay and helps break up the space in this path fairly nicely. Also, so this episode's extra long. I recorded for a very long time, and I cut it down as much as I could. It's slightly less sped up than the last episodes because those were just so fast. And I'm still having issues with my recording software, like with the last episode. I'm working on that. I'll try to get it fixed for later. So, yeah, I'm just creating little barriers between this electrified fence. It's the staff section, so security is not that important as it is with the guests. But, still just like to do that to help it feel more filled out. And, you know, I feel like at this point I just can't leave any empty space, not placing something there. So yeah, this entrance area is actually kind of nice, I think. And I just start placing some rocks and concrete barriers and stuff to surround these little cutouts in the path. Again, I don't like how this looks from above. You'll see at the end of the episode. But it's okay. In next episode, we're building lagoons. I'm sorry, my narration is really all over the place for some reason. But yeah, I don't exactly plan my video narrations ahead of time. So yeah, these rock gardens look nice, and there were a lot of them, so I had to break it up. Sometimes I used planters a few times, and concrete barriers, etc. So, on the point of Jurassic World Rebirth, circling back to that, we'll have the teaser trailer news. I'm a little bit, have a little bit of caution from that last image, which everybody else seems to be really excited about. To me, that image just looks not very good, but I'm also excited about looking at the promo image we saw from that film festival in China. Very Lost World looking. I'm still saying I think it's probably Sorna. There's literally no reason to add a third island, and I think Site C just sounds like a very silly idea. It's kind of redundant. Just, here's another island. It's just kind of weird that Engine would have had 3 islands. There's literally, barely any reason for them to have built on a 3rd island. And I think any way that you would really tie that into the story would feel very forced. But you never know. They'll probably surprise us, as they did with the synopsis, which I'm super excited for, the plot of this film overall. I'm still definitely on the more positive side of what people are thinking about this movie. There's just been some slight concerns for me on a few things. I still think Gareth Edwards is, he's going to do great as a director, especially listening to some of the things he said, and some of this talk about the dinosaurs with Steve Buscemi, which, honestly, I don't really care that much about what dinosaurs are in the film, as long as the ones that are there are handled well. Obviously, we'll have our Velociraptors, our T-Rex, we'll have our Brachiosaurus, we'll have our Parasaurolophus. Maybe we'll get the Spinosaurus. I really don't particularly care about, adding to the species count of all of these new animals that we get added, that this weird trap that, Chaos Theory and Camp Cretaceous really fell into, of how many new dinosaurs can we add. But, we'll see. I'm glad they're returning to some classic themes. So, what happened here, you'll see in just a second, is the game actually crashes because I tried to use the move tool, which actually really surprised me, because the, yeah, here you can see. The frame rate is still fine. I'm not observing any issues with the frame rate. And, yeah, it just crashed kind of randomly, which is somewhat worrying. And I look at Task Manager. I think we're okay for at least the next few episodes, but who knows? There's always that risk of you won't be able to build your full park. But this is the first time I crashed Jurassic Evolution 2 on my PC, which took almost a year, I guess. First park we've actually built, which is kind of crazy. That took this long to actually build a park on PC. Yeah, circling back to Jurassic World Rebirth, because I have more to say about that. I watched Rogue One recently again, and I know Godzilla 2014 very well, so I think Gareth Edwards, just observing what he does, and I haven't had a chance to watch the creator. Looks pretty good. I'm very excited to see how he handles that. What we're doing here, just a bunch of shipping containers. This is sped up super fast because there's a lot of them, just to help break up the path, because, as I said, it's too much unbroken path. And I think this kind of maze helps to kind of take the place of where you can't place a building. At least you can place all these shipping containers. Which I don't know why or how they're shipping containers. There's no dock for them to have gotten here from. There's no trains. The only way to the park is the bus station, which I don't know how they'd get the shipping containers here, but, this is where the practicality starts to set in if it doesn't make sense. The whole park doesn't really make sense. It's the future, we'll just say that. This park is built in the future, so they use future technologies to make this work. Just placing a couple watchtowers around, because I think it helps bring that more consistent height to what kind of, that also helps the path, because it's one thing I think I really don't like about the path is that it's just like this flat expanse with a lack of detail, and the path looks very artificial, especially in this game. The paths felt more real in Evolution 1 in certain ways. And, yeah, other stuff to talk about. Planet Coaster 2, I haven't talked about that yet. I don't have Planet Coaster 2. I'm not going to play Planet Coaster 2 just because it's not my game. And I wouldn't have time for it even if I played it. Same reason I don't play Planet Zoo. I think Planet Zoo is a great game. It's a very cool game. I just don't have time to play it. And if I did have it, then I'd just be the less time I'm playing Prehistoric Kingdom, which I prefer Prehistoric Kingdom somewhat. And I also think Planet Zoo will be obsolete in a couple years, so it wouldn't be worth buying it now, because I think there will be a Planet Zoo 2 eventually. Maybe that's Frontiers 2027, 2026 game, whichever one it is. The one after Jurassic World Evolution 3. So, oh, I don't know. I don't even play Planet Zoo. But yeah, Planet Coaster 2 is really cool, and like that rock brush, when I saw that, I thought about this park, and just got flashbacks to placing all the rocks in the Spinosaurus habitat. That would have been so helpful. But yeah, there's some really cool tools that Frontier has implemented there that I think can be implemented in Jurassic World Evolution 3, which is exciting. And I still have high hopes for this game, but I'm not gonna go. I don't like going too much into speculation on this, just because we know effectively nothing about it right now. So, you know, I don't want to get caught up about, especially when it comes to what dinosaurs and the one in the game, because honestly, like, even though there's specific species maybe that I want, I could name dinosaurs all day that I would like to have in the game. But the truth is, by numbers, we have plenty, and I'm way less concerned about that. Even if every dinosaur they added I don't care about, that would be fine with me, as long as we get good features in the game. That's the only thing I really care about for Jurassic World Evolution 3. Obviously, I'd love to see new groups of animals, etc., but, you know, I just want the river tour. I mean, of course, lots of other stuff would be really nice, but, speaking of which, Jurassic World Evolution 3 is 3 years old now since the last video we've done. Its 3rd anniversary was November 9th. I was hoping maybe we'd get some word from Frontier on something. I think it would have been smart for them to do a tiny update, like something like just an extra decoration to add to the game or something like that. Not like, because they're working on Evolution 3, but I think it would help preserve interest to have that midway point between ceasing development on Evolution 2 to the point of when Evolution 3 is released, to have that kind of halfway, just a tiny little thing to bring some people back to the game, because I see a lot of people losing patience with this game, kind of leaving it behind, like a ton of people, which is really surprising to me, because it's not like the game has changed or anything, and I think a lot of people just run out of ideas. I'm certainly not out of ideas for this game. I could build 100 more parks, but that's not going to happen. We're only going to build 2 more. This one, and we'll be building a park early next year, and also a Prehistoric Kingdom park before Jurassic World Evolution 2, 3 releases. Which, on the point of Prehistoric Kingdom, since we're here, sorry this narration is so chaotic. Prehistoric Kingdom released the update with the Ankylosaurus and the Apatosaurus and the Brontosaurus. The Apatosaurus is beautiful, especially, and I'm really excited to build with it, but the main thing that I was really excited about is the rustic theme, which looks amazing and is also really helpful for the next park building series we'll be doing in Prehistoric Kingdom, once this is done, hopefully by the end of the year. Also, speaking of the end of the year, we're at 412 subscribers, which, you know, we've had a lot of slowing down of growth in the channel in the past couple months, which is fine. You know, I'm not here to just get subscribers, I'm here to make videos, but also, if you flash back to the start of the year, we had a goal of 500 subscribers by the end of year 2 of the channel, which will be February 4th. And so that'd be really cool. And so if you enjoy this build and you want to see more of this series, or just other Jurassic related content, we do lots of various stuff here. And yeah, if you want to see any more of that and you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I'd really appreciate it, so that we can reach that 500 subscriber goal. That would be super awesome. So yeah, anyways, just filling out this staging area with trees and rocks just to make it feel more alive, because can't leave it blank. Still making sure to use no palm trees, which has been probably the biggest challenge of this park. And this is actually very few rocks compared to what we've done in the past episodes, which was kind of a nice break, but also pretty cool. And even though this is the smallest area in the park, I think by area we built, except maybe the first episode, it took a very long time just because the build process was slow and kind of boring. Just because it's a staff section. I don't want to build more staff sections. So, yeah, just filling in, there's this little empty area that nothing really went to, so I just kind of half filled this with trees. I didn't want it to look like a spot of forest, because that would really stand out from above. And I do think this park looks okay from above, and I'd like to preserve it that way, because my parks usually look terrible from above, and only look good from ground view. So, almost done with the rocks and stuff, and, you know, there's just a lot of decoration. This is on 700% speed. Instead of 900 and 1000% speed like the last episode. Well, last episode was not a normal episode because I lost all the footage, but then episode 3 and I think episode 2 also was pretty fast because I think that was a little too fast. So I've slowed it down to 700% so I can better explain what I'm building. And you know, there's places like this where it's really annoying to not be able to place anything. It'd be nice to have mods, but I'm not gonna mod this game because, like I said, Evolution 3 is coming out in, like, next year, and so there's really no reason for me to install mods to build one park with mods, because after this park, you know, building one more. And so I'd like that one to be, like, that park to be, like, my ultimate portfolio of this is how I progress with the builder and keep that as my last save file. And then Evolution 3 will be building unmodded until the game is done with development, and then we'll probably play modded, but that's pretty far in the future, so hard to say. Almost done decoration, and let's just release these terrible, ugly monsters that I can't believe you guys voted for. Why did you make me do this? Next episode we get good species, though, because we'll be building for Archelon and Attenborosaurus, which are great species. So, yeah, let's just tour this on foot, I guess. So here we are at this little security checkpoint. I'm not sure I'm going to tie this into the guest section, but the gate would open if you have your key card and you get scanned in. You walk in. This is why I don't like using those little pots from the ground views. You can still see the, you know, especially the desert ones don't look that good. But we can head over to the left. We have an area for the staff to eat here. This is really just to fill the space, and I didn't want to do more shipping containers. But I think the benches look okay and fairly immersive and makes it feel more like a space that's actually worked in, even though we won't actually have any staff members in here because the park will be closed, of course. And, you know, we have a little bunker here, just pretty bland decoration. This is where all the dinosaurs in the park would be grown, and I think the canyon here makes a really nice backdrop, and makes it stand out from my other staff sections I built that are not very good. So yeah, walking back this way, it's not as crowded as I would like it to feel, but it is as decorated in the way that I wanted it to. So in that way I succeeded, and I guess this is probably the best staff section I've built. But it's not really a high bar. Because it's been a very long time since I built a proper staff section. I think not since the Christmas park I built in no way. That wasn't 2020. No, yeah, not since December 2022 have I built a staff section, and now it's November 2024, which is kind of crazy. So we can go ahead and pop into the view of these towers, which just be used to observe. I don't know why you would want to look at them, but I guess you can for some reason, just to make sure they're not escaping. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just lots of cages for dinosaurs. There's no way we would need this many cages, because when would you ever be transporting that many dinosaurs at once? I do think this Jurassic Park fence looks really nice here and helps break up just the lots of concrete. Here we can see them at ground level if you want to, I guess, for some reason. But I do think the rock surrounding this makes it look pretty nice and fairly high security. So we walk back here, and we'll walk through the power station areas and then over to the ranger station. I'm not sure if the cars could even drive through here without crashing or hitting anyone, but there are cars here that can go into the park on the roads that we didn't build. But just tons of shipping containers here. That's the emergency shelter, which could be, you can access this area from the guest section. And lastly, we can go into this Ouranosaurus habitat from episode 3, which, you know, also the guests can sort of see into the staff section, but that's okay. And I think this looks pretty nice. Maybe this could be a rotating habitat for species that need... Maybe the Ouranosaurus needs special medical care, and that's why they're so close or something. But, yeah, that's pretty much the staff section. Here you can see it from above. Thank you guys for watching this very chaotic video. And we'll be back with another episode in a couple weeks. Stay tuned for that. We'll be building lagoons and using the monorail glitch. And that'll be pretty cool. Thank you for watching. I think I already said that. And see you all next week.